Hello everybody and welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob and today we're going to be asking the question, where is the World Congress or the United Nations? This is something that has been really racking my brain since the beginning of Civilization 7, as it has felt like it could be added and it should be added here very quickly, at least in my opinion. But we're going to take a dive into the different parts of how this would work, when it could be added, and how it has looked in the past. So we're going to start there, and we're going to go into just kind of the fact that we've had some form of this, coming together of nations, everybody knowing who each other are, going all the way back to at least Civ 3 in some way. You kind of had the little board where you could see everybody and their relationships and everything, and that was always really fun, at least for myself. I haven't played Civ 3 in probably 20 years or more, but it was a great game. I really loved that portion of it, but it really became a standard part of the game in Civ 5. I believe it was Brave New World, that expansion or that DLC, and then in Civ 6, obviously, it was a really big deal, and it's something that it feels like really helps the game to kind of have a bit more nuance, a bit more of that diplomatic feel. And let's be real, this should be a diplomatic victory in all ages to some degree. This should be added into, some portion of the game, and it's something that is really feeling like it's lacking, specifically because diplomatic is such a big part of the game, right? We have a lot of leaders, 11 to be exact, with diplomatic as their attribute. And while it's worked out in different ways, influence has been such an interesting and I think a good new currency that has been added in the game, but it just feels like it's not really fleshed out. And when you go and you look at all the different legacy paths, it feels like diplomatic needs to be thrown in there, not just kind of coupled in to some degree with culture. It just doesn't feel right. And we've had diplomatic victories going back in many different civs, and it feels like it's time for them to get this added in. Before we go any further, I am going to ask if you guys like this kind of content, if you feel like it's vibing with you, that you like this video, and that you subscribe so you're not missing out on any of the great Civilization content we have coming out nearly every single day. Back into the video though, this would also help to make leaders like Napoleon feel so much better, especially when you're playing against, other players, even the AI, right? The interactions that you have to have with certain leaders, even Machiavelli to a certain degree, could be shifted a little bit to allow for you to have this sort of United Nations, this sort of World Congress that would allow for everybody to interact with each other, allow for these sanctions to be known across, what everybody else is doing. Right now, you just kind of get a little bit of a, update on the right side. It would be nice to have it all kind of conformed and put into one area. And to be clear, they made a lot of changes with this game. And there have been many times, I believe both in Civ 5 and Civ 6 specifically, where we did not get a United Nations or a World Congress to start, right? We were given these kind of later in the game, but it feels like they need to be added sooner rather than later. And I guess that answers the question of when should it be added into the game? And for me personally, I think it should be coming with right to rule. It kind of fits maybe with that motif with the name, I guess. Although you could take right to rule in so many different directions. We have an idea of the leaders and the civs that are getting added to it, but we don't really know what else they're going to be adding. And they pushed a lot of things back so they could fix the base game, but I would hope that they are also still working on maybe some more additions that they didn't plan because they pushed this back, right? They have a team, I'm sure, that has been working on right to rule and probably the DLCs after that. They need to start really, I think, adding this into the game. It's an area that I feel like really needs a little more focus. And how really would it work exactly? Could it work in the Antiquity Age? Could it work in Exploration? I think you could have a diplomatic victory in the Antiquity Age that would maybe be more of just meeting everybody on your continent, or establishing some sort of relationship with them, whether it be good or bad. Maybe you're establishing, some sort of, I don't know, building or something that they could name whatever they would like for it to be. I know, obviously, we have, those buildings that I can't remember right now off the top of my head in real life in each country, for diplomacy to have sort of that person to be that back and forth. But, maybe they could establish that, or maybe it could even be slightly part of the economic part where it's like, establishing a trade route of some kind or some sort of, I don't know, even basic treaty, like, get all trade, routes to each one of the city capitals or something like that. I know that'd be better for economic, but you get what I'm saying generally, right? Along with this, I think it would work perfectly in the exploration age because of how vast and how long this is supposed to be. I know the United Nations specifically really doesn't come into effect until what would be the modern age, but the problem is that when it would be getting in there, we're only really going till the end of World War II if we're talking about real life history. So it really wouldn't even be well established or being well used. And I felt like World Congress has always been kind of its own thing. You don't need it to be necessarily like the United Nations. It's just a way for everybody to get together, to talk, to kind of figure things out, and see where everybody else is standing, establish rules. I actually think that Stellaris has a pretty good system of the way that it does everything. I wouldn't hate it if they were to kind of take some of the things that we've seen in that game and bring it over here into Civ 7. But that's really all I have to say. I apologize that I couldn't think of some of the words that I was thinking of. I am feeling a little under the weather in this one, so I hope that you guys will accept my apology on that one. But I will say that I'm really excited for the opportunities that this game is going to have. I think influence is a really underutilized but very prominent and important currency that we have in the game in a way that's going to allow for diplomacy to really feel good, and one that should make World Congress specifically, or United Nations if they want to bring that back as more of a focal point instead of just calling it a World Congress. I think that would be massive and really enjoyable. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, but that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us for one more turn.